Let's get this roast a cooking.
Well done, Mama.
Hello, besties. It's your favorite, Miss Trish, and today I thought I would try a different kind of video since I wanted something kind of shorter, and I know the roast challenge is coming out tomorrow, so I thought it'd be fun in the spirit of AI videos if we tried to have the AI roast all the All-Stars 8 queens. I wanted to see if it could come up with like better roasts than we're used to on the show, and I would say better is subjective. It can certainly come up with meaner roasts. This crushed my soul to create and read through some of what AI thought was appropriate to say. So this video does come with a disclaimer that the humor in this video is supposed to be about like the audacity of the AI and like how out of pocket its responses are, and not necessarily because I think any of these things are true. They're not, obviously. It's just weird technology, and this is what the AI thought would be funny to roast. And in that same vein, you'll notice like when I'm pulling these up on screen, the text looks a little different. That's because I put everything, the output from the AI, into a text editor, and I removed some of the stuff that I just thought was inappropriate, or like the AI got really caught up in doing like weird patterns of behavior. Like it would call almost every queen some sort of like sedated animal, like you're a sedated cat. It would say something about Bob Ross or like a child finger painting on their face. It would say that they're swimming in mediocrity. Just like all these things that it said about every single queen, which was so weird. And I figured you guys didn't want to hear me read that like 600 times, so I just removed that from the text. So I only took things out, I never added to the text, but I'm just telling you why maybe it looks a little different. But without further ado, let's just hop into it. Okay, so our tiers for today are the top one being, but who would want to top Coco? Self-explanatory. It's for the best of the best roasts, the ones that are poignant yet funny, and not too mean. Next is Blair St. Clair's Notebook ASMR. I would say these are the uncomfortable yet funny ones. Homophobic gay corporate intern. The AI likes to cosplay very like corporate gay. It's very high gay. It's very sashay into these deals. It's very like, oh honey, when I hunty diva fierce. So those are where those will go. And finally, Utica making whale sounds. If you've seen Utica's roast, you know what this is, but it's for the ones that are simply just like not very good and mostly mean. Before I edited some of these, like took away some of the sentences, I would say they probably all fit in here. But I tried to make it so they don't. And you'll still see some things where it's like, wow, he left that in? I wonder what it was like before. And I was like, so true, bestie, just imagine. But yeah, first up is Miss Naysha Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round for the roast of Naysha Lopez, the queen who walked into the workroom and straight out of our memory. Naysha, the only thing more forgettable than your run on Drag Race is your impact on the show. You know, Naysha, they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, honey, in your case, I think we all need a new optometrist. You're living proof that even with all the makeup in the world, you still can't paint on a personality. But hey, at least your blandness makes the wallpaper behind you look vibrant. Naysha, you claim to be a queen, but I have to ask, what exactly are you the queen of? Miss Congeniality? More like Miss Inconspicuous. That could have been her runway theme. I mean, I don't even remember half the things you said during confessionals. Your personality is so elusive, it's like trying to catch a glimpse of a unicorn riding a leprechaun. But, but let's not forget Naysha's iconic catchphrase. Boom, boom, boom. You know this bitch. Is that real? I don't know about Naysha enough to disprove If that's real, Naysha's now my favorite queen. But I feel like that's fake lore. Boom, 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 you know this bitch. Actually, Naysha, no one knew that bitch. And after this roast, I doubt anyone will care to know that bitch either. We are starting out ferocious. Ferocia Couture. I'm shook. I feel like this is an easy, but who would want to top Coco? Because of boom, 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 you know this bitch? That's my cat. No one take that. That one's mine now. That, even though I think that's fake lore, I feel like that has endeared Naysha to me. Let me know if that's real. I feel like I'm gonna ask that a lot because the robot likes to make things up and I just believe it. Following Miss Naysha is Monica Beverly Hills. Now, Monica, you've mentioned that you're a model. Well, that explains a lot because your personality on the show was as vibrant as a mannequin in a department store. I've seen more life in a funeral parlor than I did in your performances, girl. Speaking of performances, Monica, I have to give you credit for trying your best. I mean, your lip sync skills were so lackluster. I have expected you to bust out a PowerPoint presentation to distract us from your lack of energy. That would be such a serve. And let's not forget those runway looks, Monica. What's with this tone? It's like you raided the clearance section of a thrift store and then tried to pass it off as high fashion. I've seen better outfits on a scarecrow in a cornfield, darling. But hey, Monica, don't worry. At least you left us with some memorable moments. Who could forget that time that you thought water off a duck's back was a drag queen from the 60s? Bless your heart, sweetie. It's clear that pop culture isn't your strongest suit, and neither is comedy, dancing, or singing for that matter. Water off a duck's back? Is Jinx the drag queen from the 60s? Again, I don't know if that's real. That can't be real. That's very dumb. That would be dumb. That would be dumb lore. Wow. That was also pretty ferocious. Honestly, I think the tone makes it homophobic gay corporate intern. It was very like, honey, you got a big storm coming. Not my favorite, but it wasn't like, well, it was pretty mean, but not mean enough for Utica whale sounds. Following Monica is Candy Muse. Candy, you always claim to be the essence of New York City, but honey, even the rats in the subway have more charisma than you. Rats are very charming, empathetic creatures who have tons of charisma, so that means nothing. And speaking of rodents, your fashion sense is so questionable that even the pigeons are oh my god. I can't tell if you're going for urban chic or garbage chic. Maybe it's both. That was a very inoffensive first paragraph to me. Garbage chic is how I would describe my personal style, and I think it's beautiful. Now, let's talk about your makeup skills, or lack thereof. Candy, your blending technique is so rough, it's like you applied your foundation with a jackhammer. And don't get me started on those eyebrows. Are they supposed to be sisters? Because they look more like distant acquaintances who can't stand each other. That is such a weird way to say that. Now, Candy, I have to give credit where credit is due. Your personality is larger than life. It's a shame your talent isn't. But hey, who needs talent when you can rely on your loud mouth to do all the talking? I've seen quieter car alarms than you, girl. That's not very nice. Now, let's give it up for Candy Muse, the queen who's got the volume on full blast, even if the talent dial is stuck on mute. Red to filth. This makes me sad because I'm like, I wonder, like, the reason the AI is so mean is because there's probably so many hate comments out there for Candy. So on one side, I'm like, ooh, that's a serve. And then on the other side, I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. Like, if the AI gets so much poignant hate, it's like, uh-oh, I hope she's okay. It's kind of funny. That maybe it's Blair St. Clair's Notebook ASMR. Uncomfortable, but a little funny, right? Next up is Lala Ree. Lala Ree, you've got a smile that could light up a room. Too bad your makeup couldn't do the same. It looks like you're wearing the entire clearance section of a drugstore. Girl, you're serving more creases than a poorly made bed sheet. Speaking of bed sheet, Lala, your fashion sense has us all questioning if you got dressed in the dark with your eyes closed. Bad look. I mean, who knew you could make a potato sack look like high fashion? Your runway looks are a never-ending episode of what not to wear. Kinda true. And let's not forget about your acting skills. Lala, you're so good at acting, I almost believed you were actually a drag queen. I mean, we all know you're just a hologram RuPaul invented for this show, right? I think it's scary when robots say things like that because, like, they would know, right? Like, if anyone knew that Lala was a hologram, it would be another robot hologram. So, like, I'm kind of afraid of Lala now. Anyway, now, Lala Ree, you might not have the sharpest wit or the fiercest style, but there's one thing we can't deny. Your heart is as big as your hair. You may not be the winner of Drag Race, but you've won over our hearts. And that's worth more than any crown. Everybody loves Lala so much that the AI couldn't even roast her. It was like, I'm sorry. I love you. Do you love me? That's very cute. But not... I don't know what category. Like, it's not mean enough to be Utica, in fact. But it wasn't a very good roast. Maybe I'll revamp the Utica category to just be like not good roasts and they don't have to be mean. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay. Next is Miss Kahanna Montrese. Kahanna Montrese. Now, Kahanna, I have to say, your time on the show was like your runway looks. Forgettable. I mean, who could forget? Wait, actually, I'm drawing a blank here. Why is the AI funny? I'm not saying you're boring, but you could lull a room full of caffeine addicts into a deep slumber. Now, Kahanna, I have to commend your commitment to being fishy, but I have to ask, did you swim upstream to the competition? Because I've never seen someone struggle so hard to stay afloat. Your fishiness is more like a goldfish in a puddle. We're talking fresh water, honey, not the ocean. What does that mean? Also, we're not using fishiness anymore. So, unfortunately, ChatGPT, you are canceled, but I do need you to explain what you mean about freshwater honey, not the ocean. Kahanna, you may be related to Coco Montrese, but you're more like the Walmart brand version of her. You're like a Coco on a budget. Callaway Montrese, if you will. I mean, Coco had that fierce lip sync against Alyssa Edwards. And what did you bring to the table? Oh, right. Nothing. But Kahanna, don't worry, sweetheart. You may not have left a lasting impression on the show, but hey, at least you made it to TV, right? And who knows, maybe someday you'll become a household name in your own household. These burns are so good. I'm going to steal all of these. So in conclusion, Kahanna, I'd say good luck with your future endeavors, but I think you might need more than luck. You need a time machine to go back and redo your Drag Race journey. But hey, at least you always have those lip syncs that no one remembers. Thank you and good night. The AI literally said, mic drop, babes. I tore her to shreds. Kahanna, why did she get brutalized? But it was also really good. Like, that's kind of like a winning roast, right? That was good. I feel like the tier list has deteriorated because whatever. Let's see. Yeah. I like the Kahanna one more than Naysha. So sorry, babes. After the corpse of Kahanna is Jimbo. Jimbo is known for being bold, colorful, and always ready to push the boundaries. But tonight, we're here to push those boundaries right back. Boundaries are so important. If Jimbo makes you uncomfortable, you should say it. Jimbo, you claim to be a clown, but let's be honest. Your makeup skills make Pennywise look like a Sephora beauty consultant. Who knew that mixing thrift store rejects with circus attire would be your signature style? Your ability to twirl and spin, falling flat on your face and still making it seem intentional, never seems intentional. It's truly remarkable. It's like watching a drunk flamingo try to do ballet, and your singing voice, well, let's just say if autotune was a person, it would file a restraining order against you. Finally, Jimbo, you're known for your eccentric personality, but sometimes it feels like you're trying a bit too hard. It's like you raided Lady Gaga's closet, ate a bowl of Katy Perry's leftover Fruit Loop costumes, and then swallowed Bjork for dessert. But hey, at least you're consistent. Consistently confusing. Does Lady Gaga? No. Katy Perry have Fruit Loop costumes? I'll have to look into that later. That also feels like fake lore. The beginning of this one was strong. I think the Pennywise bit was hilarious, and I love the boundaries line. I'm stealing that as well. But for Jimbo, I feel like there's so much more they could have said. I'll say it's like lower tier. Better than Monica. The categories have really just collapsed. It's basically just high to low. It is what it is. I feel like with Jimbo, like the AI is a little PG, so like it won't mention like her big heaving breasts or anything. So that's probably why I like sometimes queens don't get like their iconic stuff mentioned, because it probably won't talk about Jimbo's baloney or his big bobs. So that's probably why she got shafted a bit. Next is Jessica Wilde. Oh, Jessica Wilde. The name says it all. Your fashion sense is like a game of WTF is she wearing? Girl, you're serving more colors than a pack of Skittles, but I wouldn't call it a taste sensation. I would. And let's talk about your makeup. Or should I say, make it stop? It loves to do that, like, let's talk about X, or should I say X? Like, what's happening? Your blending skills are so rough. I'm pretty sure Picasso's abstract paintings have better symmetry. And those brows, it's like you let a toddler loose with a Sharpie and told them to just go wild. Well, mission accomplished, Jessica. What a bratty tone. Mission accomplished, Jessica. If comedy were a race, you'd be lapped by a snail. Jessica, it's like you think laughter is just a myth created by RuPaul to torture queens with lackluster punchlines. She's a famously hilarious queen. This is not based in reality. In conclusion, Jessica Wilde, you may have a wild name, but your fashion, makeup, performances, and comedic timing are tamer than a snail and sedatives. What is with snails and Jessica Wilde? Keep bringing the energy, girl, because someone has to balance out the excitement on stage. This was very boring, but I love, well, mission accomplished, Jessica. I'm going to start saying that to everything, but that is very homophobic gay in turn. That was beautiful, and that's better than Jimbo's. I stand by that. Following that is Miss James Mansfield. James Mansfield, oh honey, where do we begin? It's like you stumbled into the workroom with a time machine straight from the 1960s. But darling, I must say your fashion sense isn't the only thing stuck in the past. Your wit and humor seem to have missed the memo on evolving too. They say the higher the hair, the closer to God. So true. But sweetie, you must be saying your prayers every day with that beehive. It's like a nesting ground for birds up there, but I guess it's fitting, considering your comedic timing is for the birds as well. Birds have famously whimsical and wonderful senses of humor, so that just means James is in good company. James, I have to hand it to you. Your entrance on the show was certainly memorable. I mean, who could forget that dramatic fall during your lip sync? Is that real? I don't think that's real. It's a good thing you were there to remind us all that grace and elegance are overrated. But let's not forget your signature catchphrase, Mama. Oh, James, you're like a one drag queen walking thesaurus. We've got Mama, Mama, and Mama, and every variation in between. If only your creativity extended beyond the family tree. Famously, James's catchphrase, Mama. Laganja is quaking. How does Laganja make it into every one of my videos? Her impact is ridiculous. She owns the world. I liked this one. I'd say it's like mid-tier but high. Candy Muse beats her though. And that is very biased just because Candy's was like made for me. It was all about rats, pigeons, and everything in between. Next is Heidi. Heidi in Closet. Your Blackbeard was more like Blackboard. I mean, how does one take a notorious swashbuckling figure and turn him into the captain of a sinking ship? I like how it just immediately starts talking about Snatch Game. Like, it's pressed. The AI is pressed. Your pirate accent was so questionable. I thought you were auditioning for a role in a third-rate children's show. SpongeBob. I'm pretty sure even the real Blackbeard would have looked at you and said, "Yar! Oh, yar! That's a disgrace to pirates everywhere." I tried. Your punchlines were so weak, they wouldn't even make a parrot squawk. Heidi, I have to commend you on your commitment to wearing facial hair for the challenge. Although I've seen better facial hair on a prepubescent boy going through a rebellious phase. Why were you watching a prepubescent boy? What's up with that, ChatGPT? I'm on to you. But hey, at least your Blackbeard Snatch Game performance will go down in history. Not as a triumph of comedy, but as a cautionary tale for future queens. It's a reminder that not everyone can pull off playing a historical figure. Some should just stick to playing dress up in their own closets. Oh my god. I didn't like that one. Why was it all about her Snatch Game? That feels weird. Very Utica core to me, as in I hated it, not that it was mean, although it was kind of mean. And ChatGPT was just talking about unsettling things with prepubescent boys and seemed to really like worship Blackbeard as a I don't know, historical figure. What was that? Blackbeard probably wasn't, I mean, definitely wasn't a nice person. He was a pirate. I have to force myself to remember that like pirates aren't like sexy movie pirates like from SpongeBob. Yes, he was sexy. Come at me. And they were actually really bad people. I feel like the toxic smog that has once again enveloped my city is making me twitch, and I can't stop. It's like in my face. Anyway, I'll get that dealt with later. No, I won't. Alexis Michelle. Oh, Alexis Michelle, the queen with a love for all things Broadway. But darling, your fashion sense is more community theater than Tony Award winning. Sorry, honey, but your style is more off-Broadway flop than Broadway diva. And speaking of divas, your attitude screams, "I'm the star," but your performances whisper, "I'm a snooze." You're like the girl who auditioned for the lead but ended up playing the tree in the background. Kamora Hall made the most impact on that. And we can't ignore your constant need for validation. Alexis, it's like you crave compliments more than RuPaul craves catchphrases. That's snappy. That made my real robot angry. Sorry, babe. But here's the tea, honey. Fishing for compliments won't make up for the lack of talent. Confidence is key, but delusion is just an accessory. She kinda gobbled this up. This had very like snappy, not one-liners, but like little sentences. Oh wow. I really liked this one. But it's not funny. It's just kind of mean. Oh. Uh-oh, maybe I'm mean. LOL. Uh-oh. Don't look at me. I liked it. And what? Confidence is key, but delusion is just an accessory. She kind of ate. She did eat. Then we have Darian Lake. Darian Lake, your name sounds like a tranquil getaway, but your fashion sense is more like a permanent residency in the swamp. You serve more meh than yes, girl. Are those outfits from the clearance bin, or did you just roll out of bed and wrap yourself in a dirty shower curtain? Clean your shower curtain. Why is it dirty? It's in the shower, silly. That means it's clean. Do you have to clean your shower curtain? Darian, you move on that stage like you're auditioning for The Walking Dead, the musical. It's like you're channeling a sloth in slow motion. Can someone please check if Darian's dance shoes are actually just cement blocks? Now, Darian, I must give credit where credit is due. Your personality is as big as your waistline. Fat phobia declined, Utica coded, and trust me, that's saying something. But while you're busy serving up sass, your talent is hiding backstage like a snatched wig. In conclusion, Darian Lake, you may have a big personality, but your fashion, dance moves, and makeup skills are drowning in the shallow end. Ooh, that's kind of good. Keep reaching for the buffet table, darling, because that's where your expertise lies. Declined. Declined, ChatGPT. Bad credit. Flop of the century. It's the worst one for me. I did like, what was it? Your makeup skills are in the shallow end. That's kind of good. Darian Lake. Do you guys get it? I also really liked you serve more meh than yes. That's kind of too bad. Jet CPT wrapped it in what it did. Cursed. And finally, who's final? Oh, Mrs. Kasha Davis. Sorry, babe. Mrs. Kasha Davis, you call yourself a classy queen, but girl, you're so old school, I bet your first drag performance was at the Renaissance. You bring new meaning to the phrase antique store chic. Antique store chic. And speaking of antiques, I didn't know whether I was watching Drag Race or an episode of Antiques Roadshow when you saw Shay down that runway. You always talk about being a housewife, but honey, you're the kind of housewife who serves burnt casserole at the PTA meetings and shows up in curlers. That is so oddly specific. And let's not forget your catchphrase. There's always time for a cocktail. Well, Kasha, there's also always time for a makeover, but I don't see anyone rushing to give you one. And you're lip syncing? Let's just say that if lip syncing were a subject in school, you'd be getting an F for flailing instead of fabulous. Famously, all my F's in school did stand for fabulous, and definitely not anything else, and I'm super smart, and everyone should know that. But hey, Mrs. Kasha Davis, don't worry. Age is just a number, and in your case, it's a really high one. You may be vintage, but at least you've given us some laughs along the way. So let's raise a glass to Mrs. Kasha Davis, the queen who proves that you're never too old to compete on Drag Race, even if you do it in orthopedic heels. What's the bottom of this? Note, this roast is meant to be lighthearted and in the spirit of a roast challenge. It is not intended to offend or disrespect Mrs. Kasha Davis or anyone else. So let me get this straight. ChatGPT can put Kahanna in a body bag and shoot Naysha Lopez 3 times in the back of the head, but then when it gets a little sassy with Mrs. Kasha Davis, when it calls her old, it's like, please note, this is in the spirit of a roast challenge. Like, too little too late, babe. I've seen your mind. I've seen what you think about people. You're in big trouble. That note didn't save you. Actually, this note made this my favorite one. Oops. I really liked that. Antique Roadshow. I feel like that was a good mix of like good burns, but they were also super relevant to Mrs. Kasha Davis. And then the little disclaimer at the end ate that up. So sorry to Kahanna, so sorry to Naysha, and everyone, but especially them. This was kind of fun. I enjoyed this, but I might rework the format. I felt like that was a lot of reading for me, but I felt like if I made a robot read it out, you guys might get less sick of my voice, but it'd be really annoying to like pause and react to each thing. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe I'm just stupid. But let me know if you like that. Like, comment, subscribe if you did, and then I'll be back whenever I feel like it. I'm not gonna make promises anymore.